facing a future with cancer, you know, you do look back on your life and think, have I made the right decisions? Have I done as much as I could do?
British music legend Linda Nolan just passed away at 65, leaving her fans and loved ones heartbroken. Linda inspired the world with her powerful performances in the Nolan Family band and her courageous battle with cancer. She fought cancer for almost 20 years and dedicated her life to public health awareness campaigns. But her life was more than just her illness. It was about love, family, and making a difference. How did Linda's family support her through this difficult time, and what legacy has she left behind for her fans and the world? Join us as we reveal the remarkable story behind the death of Linda Nolan.
Breast cancer, and so I want to be one of those women, you know, that will get through.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say to everybody that bought it, thank you, because it got into the Sunday Times.
Linda Nolan's battle with cancer. The world awoke to heartbreaking news a few days ago. Our beloved singer and cherished member of the Nolan sisters, Linda Nolan, had passed away at 65. For years, Linda stood as a woman of strength and resilience, living with incurable cancer that tested her in ways most of us can only imagine. She fought her battle with courage and grace, always finding ways to inspire those around her, even as her health declined. Her final days were spent surrounded by love. Over the weekend, Linda was rushed to Blackpool Victoria Hospital with double pneumonia, a complication that quickly worsened. By Tuesday, she had slipped into a coma, and by Wednesday morning, she passed peacefully with her family by her side. You are about to see something that will change everything you think you know about her. Linda's battle with cancer started about 20 years ago. It began in 2005. At the time, Linda was in her late 40s, still active in her career and full of dreams. The news was devastating, but Linda faced it head-on. She underwent a series of treatments, including chemotherapy and surgery, determined to overcome the disease. And for the first 6 years, it seemed as though she had succeeded. In 2011, she was given the all-clear. Doctors believe she had beaten the cancer. Linda admitted in later interviews that the news brought her relief and renewed hope. But life, as Linda would often say, is unpredictable. In 2017, she was diagnosed again, this time with secondary breast cancer. In case you've never heard that secondary cancer has spread to other parts of the body, it was a sudden twist of fate that many would find overwhelming. But Linda wasn't just anyone. She was a fighter, a woman who refused to let her situation define her. Instead of retreating, she chose to share her story openly. Her honesty was both refreshing and comforting. She didn't sugarcoat this, but didn't dwell on despair. Linda's message was clear. Even in the face of something as terrifying as cancer, there is still room for hope, laughter, and love. As the years passed, Linda's health continued to decline. By 2023, the cancer had spread to her brain. Despite the mounting challenges, Linda remained remarkably optimistic. She told journalists that she found joy in small, everyday moments, spending time with her family, engaging with fans on social media, and continuing her work as an advocate for cancer awareness. One of the most striking things about Linda was her perspective on living with cancer. She often rejected the term battle, explaining that battle was a win-or-lose scenario. For her, cancer was something she lived with, a part of her life that she embraced with as much grace and dignity as possible. Her mindset was a source of inspiration for her followers. Over the years, she became a powerful advocate for cancer awareness, using her platform to educate and inspire. She spoke candidly about the importance of early detection, sharing her experiences to encourage others to seek help without delay.
Hopefully it'll be okay. I'm gonna go sleep now, I hope.
Her efforts extended far beyond words. Linda helped raise over 20 million euros for cancer-related charities, including Breast Cancer Now, the Irish Cancer Society, and Samaritans. Linda understood the fear and uncertainty that came with a cancer diagnosis, and she wanted to be a source of comfort for those living with it. Her message was simple but powerful. You are not alone. But behind the scenes was a journey entire of triumph and tragedy. Cancer wasn't just a battle Linda faced, it was a recurring issue in her family. Her sister Bernie, another member of the Nolan sisters, had passed away from breast cancer in 2013. Anne, another sister, also fought the disease and thankfully survived. The resilience of the Nolan family in the face of such repeated heartbreak was extraordinary. That is not all. As her health worsened, Linda found ways to stay connected to her fans and the world around her. She was active on social media, often sharing updates that were as uplifting as they were candid. Her posts revealed a woman determined to live fully, despite her circumstances. In one of her last interviews, Linda said she thought her 60th birthday would be her last. Yet there she was.
That I may not be here next Christmas. So every Christmas now I think, oops. And of course, worrying about
Celebrating life 5 years later, still finding reasons to smile. Linda's humor and positivity defined her character. She could shed light in the darkest times, often using her wit to uplift those around her. This spirit made her a beloved figure among her fans, family, and close circle of friends. Her final days were proof of the love and respect she had earned throughout her life. According to the hospital staff who cared for her, Linda was kind and grateful, even in her most vulnerable moments. And kudos to her family. They stood as her bedrock throughout her journey. Linda was never alone. When the news of Linda's passing broke, the world responded with an outpouring of love and admiration. Tributes came from every corner. Friends, colleagues, and fans shared memories of a woman who had touched their lives profoundly. To them, Linda wasn't just a singer or a celebrity. She was a source of hope and inspiration, a woman who showed what living with grace and resilience meant. Linda Nolan's life was entirely of challenges and victories. Though heartbreaking, her journey with cancer revealed the depth of her character and the strength of her soul. And while her life may have ended, her legacy lives on. Are you wondering how Linda became the famous musician we all know? Keep watching to find out. Linda's life before the storm. Before cancer became part of her story, Linda Nolan built a life around music, love, and laughter. Her journey began in Dublin, Ireland, on February 23, 1959, where she was born into a family of music stars. The Nolans weren't just any family. They were performers at heart. Linda was one of 8 siblings, all raised in a home full of singing, dancing, and entertaining. When Linda was 3, her family moved to Blackpool, England, seeking better opportunities. This seaside town became the foundation for what would later be one of the most iconic family bands of the 1970s and 1980s. The Nolan family wasn't wealthy but rich in talent and determination. Their mother, Maureen, was a driving force, while their father, Tommy, was a musician who passed on his love of music to his children. Linda and her siblings, Bernie, Anne, Denise, Maureen, Colleen, and Tommy Jr., started performing at a young age. Initially, it was small gigs at clubs and holiday camps, but their talent stood them out. They performed as the Singing Nolans, wowing audiences with their harmonious voices and natural stage presence. With her warm voice and magnetic smile, Linda stood out even amid so much talent. The group's big break came in the 1970s, when they changed from the Singing Nolans to the Nolan Sisters, and, later, simply The Nolans. For them, it marked the beginning of an era. They signed with CBS Records and soon became a household name, particularly in the UK and Japan. As a performer, Linda sang with confidence and charisma. The Nolans became known for their catchy tunes and synchronized performances, with hits like I'm in the Mood for Dancing, released in 1979. The song catapulted the group to stardom. It was upbeat, fun, and perfectly captured the essence of disco. Remember that the disco genre dominated the music scene at the time. For Linda, these were golden years. She traveled the world, performed to sold-out crowds, and lived a life most people could only dream of. The Nolans weren't just popular, they were loved. Fans adored their wholesome image and the genuine bond they shared as a family. Behind the scenes, Linda and her sisters were incredibly close, sharing their careers and lives. In particular, Japan became a second home for the Nolans. The group's popularity there was unprecedented.
It's gone massive in Japan. You need to go over and promote the album.
With their albums topping the charts and tours drawing massive crowds. Linda often spoke about how much she loved the Japanese fans, who were incredibly loyal and passionate. Despite the glamour of celebrity life, life on the road wasn't always easy. Long hours, grueling schedules, and the pressures of fame could take a toll. But Linda handled it with grace, finding joy in the little things. She once wrote that she loved the late-night chats with her sisters, traveling through new Japanese cities and meeting fans whose lives their music had touched. She often described these moments as the ones that truly mattered. By the 1980s, the Nolans were at the height of their fame. They toured with legendary acts like Frank Sinatra and had their TV specials. Linda said she was always amazed at how far they could go from their humble beginnings in Blackpool. Performing with Sinatra changed their lives. He was a global icon, and sharing a stage with him shows just how much the Nolans had achieved. But Linda later admitted that fame wasn't everything. While the spotlight brought recognition and success, it also came with challenges. We are talking about privacy. Linda fiercely protected her private life. In her memoir, she wrote that she valued her relationships with her family and close friends above all else, finding solace in their unwavering support. But something happened that changed everything. In 1983, Linda made a life-changing decision to leave the group. While she loved her time with the Nolans, she wanted to try new opportunities and carve out her path. This wasn't an easy choice. The Nolans were more than just a band. They were family. But Linda was ready for a new chapter that allowed her to grow as an individual. After leaving the group, Linda pursued a career in musical theater, a passion that had always been close to her heart. She debuted in the West End production of Blood Brothers, playing Mrs. Johnstone. Surprisingly, she was able to pull off an excellent performance. According to critics, she was emotive, and audiences were captivated by her ability to bring the character to life. Over the years, she took on various roles in productions across the UK. In addition to theater, Linda also appeared on television as a presenter and guest on popular shows. Her warm personality and natural charm made her a favorite among viewers. Whether sharing stories from her time with the Nolans or discussing her latest projects, Linda made people feel like they were chatting with an old friend. By the 1990s, Linda had settled into a balanced work and family life. In 1981, she married Brian Hudson, a talented musician. Their relationship was mutual respect and love, and Brian was a steadfast support throughout Linda's life. Together, they worked in the entertainment industry, always finding time for each other amidst the chaos. She said she cherished their time together, whether enjoying quiet evenings at home or embarking on new adventures. Brian's support was vital during Linda's transition from the family band to a solo artist. As the years went on, Linda's focus shifted slightly to charity work, lending her voice to causes she believed in. This was a natural extension of who she was, a woman who genuinely cared about others and wanted to make a difference. Linda had built a fulfilling and meaningful life by the early 2000s. She built one of the most powerful platforms to raise awareness and comfort those facing life's most challenging battles. Her commitment to charity will surprise you. Keep watching to find out. Linda's public health advocacy. Let's go back to when Linda Nolan was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2006. It was like the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Linda became a powerful voice for those facing similar struggles, offering hope, inspiration, and an unfiltered look at the realities of living with cancer. The diagnosis was unexpected, unsettling, and overwhelming, but Linda didn't let it define her. Instead, she chose to face it with openness and courage. According to sources close to her, Linda understood from the beginning that sharing her story could make a difference and embraced the responsibility that came with it. In interviews, Linda often spoke about the fear and uncertainty she felt during her initial diagnosis. But she didn't stop there.
2 weeks of radiotherapy that I had at the beginning of the year has...
She also shared practical advice, such as coping with chemotherapy, managing the side effects, and finding strength in small victories. Linda became a familiar face in cancer awareness campaigns, using her platform to encourage early detection and regular checkups. She often reminded people that early diagnosis could save lives, and she wasn't afraid to share the details of her journey to drive the point home. Whether it was appearing in TV specials, writing columns, or speaking at events, Linda was determined to spread the message. One of her most impactful moments came when she participated in a campaign about the importance of breast self-examination. Linda didn't just talk about it. She demonstrated how to do it properly. But Linda's advocacy wasn't limited to awareness campaigns. She also became a source of emotional support for others diagnosed with cancer. Through her books and public appearances, she shared her struggles, offering a sense of solidarity to those who might feel alone in their fight. In 2013, she wrote a book titled From My Heart. Linda recounted her journey with breast cancer. She encouraged her readers to know that it was okay to be scared and have bad days, but also that it was possible to find strength even in the darkest moments. Her words were a lifeline for many, a reminder that they weren't alone. If you think she was all words and no work, then what you are about to see will blow your mind. Linda actively worked to improve resources for cancer patients, pushing for better access to treatments and support networks. She understood the gaps in the system, especially for women from underprivileged backgrounds who might not have the same access to healthcare or information. Linda's efforts often ensured these women weren't left behind. In addition to her public work, Linda found ways to connect personally. She frequently shared stories about the people she met during hospital visits and fundraising events. For instance, one day, she met a young woman who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer and was terrified of what lay ahead. Linda sat with her, offering comforting words and sharing her experiences. Linda also became a strong supporter of cancer charities, lending her name and time to organizations like Macmillan Cancer Support and Cancer Research UK. She participated in charity runs, hosted fundraising events, and performed in benefit concerts. Her advocacy work also extended to her family. When her sister Bernie was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010, Linda became one of her biggest supporters. The two sisters shared a special bond, strengthened by their shared experiences. Bernie's diagnosis was a painful reminder of how relentless cancer could be, but it also reinforced Linda's commitment to her advocacy work. When Bernie passed in 2013, it devastated Linda, but didn't deter her. It fueled her determination to keep fighting for better awareness and support. She often spoke about Bernie in her interviews, using her sister's story as a reminder of why early detection and comprehensive care were so important. In the years that followed, Linda continued to use her voice to advocate for cancer patients.
I've got to go through chemo, or a mother with, a single mother thinking, what am I going to do with my child when I'm feeling rubbish? And
she participated in documentaries, sharing her journey and highlighting the challenges those living with the disease faced. The Nolan's Go Cruising documentary aired in 2020. She explained how she had coped since the second cancer diagnosis. Linda also revealed that she had been struggling with her mental. She didn't shy away from discussing the emotional toll of living with cancer, from the fear of recurrence to the impact it had on her self-esteem. By addressing these issues, Linda helped break down the stigma surrounding mental health in the context of chronic illness. She also found strength in her family and fans, often describing them as her rock. Her sisters rallied around her. Her fans sent her messages of encouragement, and Linda drew energy from the love and support she received. But here is something shocking. Despite her health challenges, Linda never lost her zest for life. She often spoke about the importance of finding joy in everyday moments. She encouraged cancer patients to spend time with loved ones, enjoy a good meal, and laugh at silly jokes. This attitude was a cornerstone of her advocacy work. Linda wasn't just fighting for survival. She was fighting for quality of life for herself and others. As the years passed, Linda became one of the most prevalent cancer advocates in the world. Did she never tell people to erase the pain or pretend everything was okay? She just wanted them to find strength in their vulnerability. What do you think about Linda's approach? Remember that Linda's family was her key pillar of support, and the extent they went to make her happy will leave you emotional. Linda's personal life and family. When life throws challenges your way, finding joy might seem like an impossible task. For Linda Nolan, joy was not just something she stumbled upon. She consciously sought it, even during the most challenging times of her life. One of Linda's greatest sources of happiness was her family. The Nolan sisters weren't just a successful musical group. They were an inseparable team that supported one another through thick and thin. Their bond was evident on stage and in their private lives. In her latter years, Linda often spoke fondly of their family trips, where laughter filled the air and memories were made. In one particular trip, documented in The Nolan's Go Cruising, the show captured moments of fun that Linda had with her siblings. But family wasn't Linda's only source of joy. She had a deep love for music, which she never left. Long after the height of the Nolan sisters' fame, Linda continued to find solace and happiness in performing. Even during her treatment, Linda often hums her favorite tunes or listens to uplifting music. She admitted that music shifted her mood, transporting her to peace and positivity. It wasn't uncommon for her to revisit the songs she performed during her Nolan sisters' days, reminiscing about the joy those performances brought her and her audience. But that is not all. Another thing that brought Linda so much happiness was her love for animals. Over the years, she shared her home with a few furry companions, who became like family to her. Her pets were a source of unconditional love, offering comfort on tough days and companionship when she needed it most. Linda said her dogs could sense when she wasn't feeling her best, always staying by her side to provide comfort. Linda also found joy in the small, everyday moments many might take for granted. A cup of tea in the morning, a sunny day in the garden, or a good book to get lost in, these simple pleasures became even more meaningful to her as she approached the end of her life. Her sense of humor was on another level. Linda loved to find humor in unexpected places, often cracking jokes to lighten the mood.
It makes everything worse. And so then I text my breast care nurse in the middle of the night and fell asleep then.
Beyond her passions, Linda found fulfillment in giving back. Her involvement in charity work wasn't just about raising awareness and making a tangible difference in people's lives. She often spoke about the joy she felt, knowing that her efforts, whether through fundraising events or advocacy, were helping others. Linda believed that giving back wasn't just a responsibility, it was a privilege that brought its kind of happiness. You may not know, but Linda had many friends. Her friends describe her as fiercely loyal and deeply caring, maintaining lifelong friendships that brought her comfort and joy. Her friends also described her as the heart of any gathering, someone who could light up a room with her presence. As Linda approached the end, she found new ways to nurture her happiness. She loved mindfulness practices such as meditation and deep breathing exercises, which helped her stay active. And there is one more thing. Through it all, she never dropped her love for cooking. In one of her documentaries, Linda admitted that she often found comfort in the kitchen, experimenting with recipes and making meals for her family and friends. Cooking became a therapy for her, channeling her energy into something creative and nourishing. Whether it was a hearty stew or a simple dessert, Linda took pride in her prepared meals, finding happiness. Linda is not your everyday artist. Her legacies will live forever after her. Thank you for staying with us. Say a prayer for Linda and her family as they endure this painful loss. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.